Marvel Rivals, the game that we come to know and love, lacks decision making. The lack of decision making from players causes players to feel like the matchmaking is against them. It causes them to feel like games are one-sided stomps all the time, and it makes it seem like no matter what they do, they cannot control their games. I did talk about something like that similar in a previous video. Check that out. I discussed EOMM and why I feel it doesn't exist, but this video isn't about that. I'm just giving you examples of what lack of decision making or poor decision making skills lead to. Now, I want to address one thing before we get started here. A lot of players think that people who play Marvel Rivals are players from Overwatch. And while some of them are, most of the people that play Marvel Rivals are not from Overwatch. There are players who's never played a hero shooter, and there's players who's never played a competitive game. I mean, there's players who never even played Overwatch. And that's okay. If you fall into any of those categories, that's okay. You're not supposed to understand decision making if you never played games that are strategy based. So do not worry. I know decision making can be a very complex beast of a skill, but I'm going to break it down to its basic components in this video so that way you can build your own foundation and start winning more matches. So every match, before we get started, we need to understand the goal of the match. We are playing Convoy, and so in this mode, the goal of the match is what? Very, very simple. The goal of the match is to push the convoy. That's pretty much it. If there are no enemy characters preventing us from pushing, we sit on the convoy and keep pushing, right? We don't go looking for fights. The only reason why we fight enemies is because they are preventing us from doing what we are trying to do. This is one of the first steps in decision making and why it's so important to learn. So every single role has an issue with the way that players play, and this is what leads them to think that the matches are uncontrollable because they do not know how to adjust their gameplay. When you're dealing with tanks, right? What's the main problem for tanks? Well, the main issue, not even problem. Player tends to keep going forward and getting KO'd, right? What this leads to the tanks thinking is their reason is, I'm not getting healed enough. Team sucks. That's what tanks generally think. And this is what leads players to think, oh, the matchmaking is bad and my teammates are always horrible. I never get heals. And adjust your gameplay. You don't even have to swap. Adjust your gameplay. We'll do it again. DPS. What is their issue? Player keeps trying to do the same thing, even if it doesn't work. What's the reason? Tanks never make space. Healers never heal. Every single time. Spider-Man, Black Panther, Hawkeye, Hela, whatever. If it doesn't work, they don't adjust their gameplay. If Spider-Man's not getting KOs, they don't adjust. They just do the same thing over and over. Black Panther, Magic, same thing over and over. If Hela and Hawkeye aren't landing shots, or maybe they are getting dove and getting picked off, they don't swap. They don't adjust their gameplay and maybe position better. What they do is they're going to sit there and continue to get dove and ask for help and saying, I'm not getting heals. And again, it leads to that psychological factor of team sucks. Let's do the same thing with healer, because strategists, you guys ain't out of it. Healers, issue. Player keeps getting dove, or they get picked by snipers. Reasoning behind their thought process, like what are they thinking? It's because you don't KO snipers or you don't peel us. That is their reasoning. So instead of adjusting our gameplay to sit behind cover so we don't get sniped, or instead of adjusting our gameplay so we're not going to get dove, we decide to just say, team sucks, this is why I can't climb, this is why I'm struggling, and I don't know what to do. Once again, this is a strategy game, but players don't understand that. This is what leads them into thinking that games are uncontrollable. If you adjust any of these situations and you adjust your gameplay, you don't even have to swap. If you adjust your gameplay to any of these situations, you will start winning. The goal of the game is to not carry. Anyone who says carry your team, no, there's no such thing as that. You need to be a good team player. Here's what I mean. Every match is basically 50-50. Okay, more or less every match is 50-50. That's what every matchmaking system in any game tries to do for you, right? There's a lot of other factors, but for the most part, this is their goal. Your goal for this, or we'll just say your job, make it 51-49. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do to win your match is tilt the game in your favor by 1%. You don't need to be the carry. Just tilt the game in your favor by 1 freaking percent. And I'm going to share with you exactly how this works and all the extra good stuff in a second. But I want to get you guys to understand this concept. So now you're like, well, Pop, in some games I get into it and they're really hard. They're not even an even match. They're just like really difficult. Well, this is what happens sometimes in matchmaking as well. Sometimes you'll get 51, or sometimes you will get, 49-51. Your job is still to make it 51 to 49. And depending on how good you are, if you're smurfing, it actually increases. So it'd be 52, 54, 58, and it keeps going up like that, right? Some characters can make the 51 easier, like Magic, right? If you play Magic, the odds of you turning a 50-50 into a 51-49 is really simple. It's Magic. Same thing if you're playing Loki. Same thing if you're playing Hulk. There's some characters in each role that has an easier time pulling this off. So it seems like it's a character issue, but it's not. You don't understand that the character is so strong, it compensates for your lack of decision making. Now, there are some other games where you actually end up in a situation where it's already 51-49. Heck, maybe it's more than 51. Maybe it's 56 or whatever, right? Your job, just play the game. This is what happens when you see a lot of Rocket players end up winning matches by just kind of AFK heal botting. Their team is already in that winning scenario. They are already part of that 51. In order for you to make it so that Rocket doesn't win, you need to flip it back into the other, into your team's favor. Right? So this is pretty much how it works. Again, some games are going to be 46 to whatever else, right? That's how that works. It's going to be more in the enemy's favor than yours, and some games are going to be more in your favor than theirs. But most of the time, it is 50-50. Most of the time, all you need to do is tilt it in your favor by that 1%, and you're good to go. This game is a very great game to explain how this works. And I'm going to share with you my decision making and how I set through and figure out what I need to do. So let's get rid of this here. And when it comes to figuring out the problem, so figuring out the problem, what are we going to do? Well, first things first is adjust gameplay with hero. Everyone thinks that, oh, you need to swap because it's not working. A lot of the times, just adjust your gameplay, you're good to go. This is why I say you don't need to know 4 or 5 different heroes. Play whatever you enjoy, you will win as long as you know how to adjust your gameplay. If that doesn't work, because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you're still going to be in that scenario where it's like, bro, this doesn't work, we're cooked. And when stuff like that happens, it's perfectly okay. The second thing you need to do is going to be swap your hero in the same role, okay? Sometimes you need a different character in that same role. Sometimes that doesn't work and you need to swap your hero in another role. This is what I call like the last resort. But unfortunately, a lot of players default into number 3. A lot of players think that, oh, we're losing 3 healers. Oh, we're losing 3 tanks. Oh, we're losing. Let me just lock in DPS. They don't understand that they're just not playing well enough to win. That's all. It's not a character thing. That should be your second to last resort or your last resort. You need to adjust your gameplay with the hero that you know the most, and you will win more games more often than not. So let's go ahead and get into this game, and we'll dissect exactly how this works. So here we go. The character doesn't matter. Just disregard the fact that I'm playing captain. But you will notice that I'm playing captain the default way, especially if you watch my streams. You guys know that I basically play the same way. So I'm just going in, I'm doing my thing. We get a KO on the Loki. He wasn't paying attention. I run away, get health pack. And we're not going to focus too much on what I'm doing, like physically when it comes to the mechanics and attacking. And that's not what we're here for. There's other videos like that on my channel already. So right here, I notice right here, I'm not getting healed. Now I am in a really bad position, don't get me wrong, but when I do this, I check on everything. And I noticed that we're kind of in a situation over there. What I already noticed was that my healers are getting dove by Venom and Captain and Spider-Man. So I adjust my gameplay from being straight dive heavy and just being annoying to let me go back and help my team every now and then. So this is what I'm doing. Then I go back forward because they go too far, and I try to fight. And right here, I noticed it ain't working. So I adjusted my gameplay with my hero. Next, I need to swap. Now, my thought process was, if I swap to another tank, that's not what we need. Because we have to figure out the problem before we figure out how to solve the problem. And so what you see right here at the top, this is figuring out the problem, right? This is how we solve it in terms of the character. I actually could have wrote that better, but regardless, figuring out the problem, we have to figure out, do we need to swap or not? Identifying the problem, so identifying the problem, we easily can understand that the main reason why we're struggling here is because our backline's getting picked off and we don't have enough damage to KO Spider-Man, Venom, and Cap all at once. We just don't have enough damage. We tried, nobody's getting KO'd, we're just running around doing nothing. And so I felt like the best thing that we needed to do was get a DPS. So we identified the problem. The problem that we noticed was backline is being dove. We are not getting, we are not KOing. So there's actually two issues, right? The backline is being dove, which is one. We need to figure out a way to deal with that, but also we need to figure out a way to do damage. So now let's continue the replay here. With this in mind, I end up swapping to Namor. Because I'm like, okay, I can pop some more damage and I can also focus on Spider-Man, right? Now, Namor without Hulk doesn't really do as much damage as he does with Hulk, but it's still a very viable character. Our Cloak and Dagger goes in. She gets KO'd, unfortunately. It happens. What are you going to do? Our whole entire team gets kind of rolled over, and I then realize, all right, we don't have enough damage. Namor is probably not the play. Let me swap to something else. So I was thinking, well, the fact that I'm not doing any damage and the squids only attack one target, right? I need something that can attack multiple targets because there's a lot of tankiness there. There's Mr. Fantastic, there's Venom, there is Spider-Man, there is Captain America. That's a lot of melee characters that we can use Moon Knight with. So we swapped to Moon Knight. Doing our thing, swapping to Moon Knight. You know, I'm trying to get some stuff done. Spider-Man comes in, I still try to peel because remember, we're trying to figure out a way to fix the problem. Okay, I get KO'd, and at this point, I swap to Loki. Now, you also notice that we don't have a tank, and I did not notice this at all. I didn't notice it. My priority right now is focusing on what we identified, which is the backline is being dove, and we are not getting KOs. That's what we need to fix right now. And so a lot of you guys might be thinking, well, Poppin, what happens when you got this happening, nobody's doing this, nobody's doing that? You need to figure out which problem is the most important first, and then fix that problem. And then after that, what's the next one? After that, what's the next one? This is how you improve your decision-making skills, and this is how you solve the problems on the fly. When I'm playing on stream, you guys notice that I'll have one issue, I fix it, and another one pops up, and I have to figure out another way to fix it. That's how strategy games work. You have to constantly be thinking about what can I do to fix it. Too many times players approach Marvel Rivals like it's just a shooting game and the better shooter wins. No. It's a strategy game. So you need to play like that. Let's continue. So again, I didn't even notice that we didn't have a tank. My full focus was figuring out this first problem. How can we solve it? We ended up getting KOs there, which is great. Now, if you'll notice something. Watch this. Look at Spider-Man. Why is he going after me? Spider-Man's going after me because I'm the one keeping the people that he was originally targeting alive, right? If I go to healer, I'm taking the pressure off my other two healers, right? What did I tell you the main goal was? The main goal of the game as a team player is to do what? Make it in your favor 51-49. I did that right now. I put it in our favor. That's saying that, okay, all the divers, Venom, Spider-Man, Cap, are going to be focusing me. They're going to be focusing me because I'm the one keeping them alive. I'm the only one who could position well enough to not get KO'd. So I'm not being the carry. I'm just solving one of the problems. How am I keeping my backline? Well, or how am I keeping my backline from being dove? By being a presence and making sure that they heal. How do we get KOs? By positioning well enough, and Loki just does a lot of damage. That's why I chose him instead of another healer. I'm picking a character that does damage. So we're basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's continue the replay. Come on, let's go. So he tries to KO me, he can't. I'm already aware of how Spider-Man works and everything like that. Now he tries to come to me. She ults. And I'm just stacking on my clones because I know that if I have my clones active, I actually pump out a lot of damage. So my goal, this is just a character thing. Let's just say I was playing Loki and my clones were getting destroyed. Well, I need to adjust my gameplay. It's not a Loki problem. It's just I need to adjust my gameplay so that they don't get destroyed. This is kind of the thought process when you try to figure out, should I swap a hero or should I not? So we keep going. Right? I'm just trying to make sure I'm staying relevant. If I'm relevant, my team can play the game. At this moment, I realized we had no tank. At this moment, I was like, we don't have a tank squad. But one thing that a lot of players do is try to fix what's not broken. Although we need a tank, and I would like a tank, you know, in terms of just how Marvel Rivals is played, having a tank, you quote unquote need one. We didn't need one for this match. So until we meet some resistance that makes the next problem, we need a tank, we don't try to solve that problem. Our only problem right now is what? Backline is being dove and we are not getting KOs. The backline is not being dove anymore and we are getting KOs. Why would I even need to swap anymore? Yes, we have no tank, but that's not the problem. Until we figure out the next problem, we don't need to swap. We don't need to adjust our gameplay. We continue to play exactly how we've been playing. So at this point, I'm just protecting my backline by putting down the rune stone for the Venom. As you see, everybody's healed, so Venom can't do anything. But Invisible Woman then ults, and our team gets run over. Like completely just wiped. Well, I guess not. I thought we got wiped here. I guess we didn't get wiped there. But you could say, oh, well, we got KO'd because, you know, we don't have a tank. We need a tank. Pop it. Swap the tank. Luna, swap the tank. No. What actually happened there was my fault. Because I did not pay attention. If we go back a little bit further, I didn't open the screen to see who had ult. Luna Snow's at 26 and Cloak and Dagger's at 79 for their ultimate. I'm literally at 100, but I did not know that they weren't close. I was just saying, okay, well, you guys are gonna ult. But if I would have just pulled up the menu, I could have saved the entire team here. So was this we don't have a tank? Was this a Loki swap problem? No, I just didn't play it well. And this is one of those skills that a lot of players lack in. It doesn't matter if it's low rank or high rank. This is a fundamental, skill that's lacked when it comes to decision making. Again, people just think, oh, swap, because swap is how you fix. No, there's a lot more to this game than just picking a character that fits the situation. There's a lot more you can do with your own gameplay. So I did not swap from Loki because the problem was me. I just messed up. That's all I did. So we go in again. Cloak and Dagger keeps jumping around and I'm trying to get her. And I just said, forget it. I'm going to get Luna. And so I ult. Then their Loki ults. And then here, our whole entire team gets wiped. Like everybody. This is just a straight up wipe. I don't get KO'd, but our entire team does. And then now you're like, well, poppin'. I mean, dude, your team got destroyed. You need a tank. No, we still don't need one. Why? Because we got wiped by ultimates. We got picked off by ultimates. Okay? That does not signal a swap. Even though I know that we could use a tank, we don't need one. This is the same exact thing that happens when players start to notice their team getting picked off. Let's just say your tank goes in by itself, or someone gets picked off by a character. They automatically assume the person needs to swap. But someone just got picked off. That's the nature of the game. It has nothing to do with the characters. If someone gets picked off, just walk back and wait for your team to respawn. That's all. Mistakes happen. So we get back on the point and we do our thing. Right? As long as I'm relevant, our team can survive. We're able to still get KOs even without a tank, and that's all that matters. So I'm not going to stretch this video out talking about the same thing. Basically, we get all the way to the point, and as the point starts to stall, because we start stalling here, one of the players swapped to Doctor Strange to put the portal on. I can actually show that part real quick. A little bit further back. Okay, here we go. So the player swapped to Doctor Strange to put the portal down. Right? Now we started swapping back. So Strange pushed the portal down, then he swaps back to a DPS. I swapped. Oh, I thought I swapped to Venom here. I stayed. So now the problem is what? The problem is, we'll just add the next problem. This is what we have to do, right? We have to keep identifying the problem. What's the next problem? Lack of being able to survive, right? If we can't survive, we can't push. So now my goal is to figure out how can we survive. That's my goal. Is it a character problem? Yes, we need 2 tanks at this point. So I swapped to Venom. I swapped to Venom to give us more of a chance. We had 3 healers and we didn't need them at this point. At this point, it's not about anything other than trying to get the KOs. And we can't get KOs if our team's getting picked off repeatedly. So this is where I swapped to Venom, and I allow us to have more survivability. And this then leads to us winning this round. I noticed that people are going crazy up here, so I adjust my gameplay to get them off of this area. But then I noticed my Magic and Mr. Fantastic were up there, so I ignore it. And I go back to focusing here. And we end up winning that point. Again, this is decision making to its finest. Understanding what the problem is and then fixing that problem is going to be how you win most of your games. Now let's go to the enemy side, because this is very important. I want to show you what it looks like when you do not understand decision making and you end up losing, right? So we will go back. Here we go.
30 seconds before you attack.
You're going to notice that as soon as this match starts, I get grabbed instantly. Guy's a beast. Boom. I'm like, okay, you know, I was being stupid. I need to adjust my gameplay. That was dumb. They have a Wolverine now. So let me adjust my gameplay, right? As I said before, you want to start off with adjusting the gameplay of the character before you start swapping characters. So I go in, he grabs me again, I'm deleted. At this point, I'm like, okay, bro. Not only am I countered, but you're an extremely good Wolverine. Like this, everybody in this game was really good. I'm not going to front, but this guy was a good Wolverine. And I was like, you know what? All right, I'm not even going to play. I'm not going to play Cap. There's no reason. That's just stupid. So I swapped to Penny. What was the problem? Here we go. What was the problem? Oops. Wolverine keeps grabbing me. He's not doing anything to my team. This is a me problem. Once we figure out this solution to not getting grabbed, then we can move on to the next problem of whatever may be happening, right? So this is the issue. What's the solution? Picking Penny. We always start off with adjusting our gameplay, then swapping the character in your role, and then seeing if you need to swap out of your role. So here we go. Going to Penny. We put down the nest, try to set up. It's going okay at the start. You know what I mean? We're doing pretty good. Here we go. I get grabbed. I got away. Wolverine keeps grabbing me. Oh, we resolved the issue. That's kind of cool, right? Then what happens? Rocket ults. We ended up losing the team fight here, and we all got rolled over. Like everybody just got deleted. Now you could say, okay, well Penny's not a good pick. Why? We didn't have any other problems. The only problem was Wolverine. How is Penny just all of a sudden not a good pick? Again, this is what a lot of players struggle with. They think, oh, I need to swap because I got KO'd. Being KO'd doesn't mean anything about the character. It's just how you made your decision. This was just a one fight too. The enemy is allowed to be good. The enemy is allowed to get picks. The enemy is allowed to win team fights. It happens. It's okay. But I know for a fact it's not because of Penny. So I stay on Penny because, again, the main issue is that Wolverine. That's the issue. So I walk out. I heard someone walking to the side, but I didn't know who it was. So I walked out, put the nest, instantly get grabbed again. I get KO'd. Now you might be thinking, okay, Poppin, at this point, dude, this Wolverine, Penny's a sitting duck. It's very easy for Wolverine to grab you. You shouldn't be playing Penny now. You should swap. No, I was mispositioning. I got a little bit too anxious and I started putting my nest in very bad spots. It's all that happens, right? And now you could say, well, Poppin, what happens if we'll add another problem to the board? Nests keeps getting destroyed. Well, if the nest keeps getting destroyed as Penny, we should swap then, right? No. Go through the list. Can I adjust my gameplay to have my nest survive longer? Yes. Then put your nest in better positions. You don't need to swap. Keep playing it out. So here we go. Let's keep playing it out here. Now I'm going to fast forward a little bit because we get KO'd once more until it gets closer to the point. So, I mean, we do a little bit of something here, but overall we get KO'd again, right? And it gets pushed back. I don't remember exactly what happened, but just know we got rolled over. Right here, I only walk out to stall and we get KO'd one more time. I just wanted to show this. So I walk out to stall, we get KO'd one more time. So I got KO'd back to back. Should I swap? No. I was in a bad position there, and then before when I got KO'd, again, just in a bad position. Just play better, Poppin. Just play better. That's all you gotta do, bro. So going out again, we were able to keep the point because I was able to stall. And we set up. If Penny, this is what my mindset is. If Penny does not work here, I swap. Because this is the most advantageous spot on this map. It is very close in proximity. They don't have a lot of wiggle room to play around the nest. This is just it. If it doesn't work here, then I swap. Why? Because we already adjusted our gameplay and it just did not work. So Doctor Strange hops in, does his thing. I'm positioning better. My nests are in better spots. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. And we continue to play it out. Right? Now let's reverse this. Let's reverse this now. We're going to do something a little bit strange for a piece of change. So we're reversing this. Let's play the enemy team. Problem. Penny Nest keeps KOing the team. Right? If these players had good decision making, again, I thought they were really good players, but we're just doing this as an example. If the players had good decision making, they would figure out, okay, well, Penny is a problem. What do we do? I played Penny to counter Wolverine, so we'll look at it from his perspective. So you have to figure out, okay, well, we need to figure out a way to blow up the nest. If I'm this Wolverine player, and remember, what is our goal? What is our goal? Our goal is not to carry the team. The goal is to make it 51-49, so that way your team will end up winning the match, and it's tilted in their favor. If I'm playing this Wolverine, I need to be thinking about how can I relieve the stress from my team? The Penny is the problem right now. What can I do? Well, you have to think, adjust the gameplay with a hero. Okay, well, if I adjust my gameplay and I maybe snatch the Penny up, is that going to work? It might, but I have to get through all of this to pull it off, or I have to come down here and snatch him and try to move him around the corner. And all of that's very, very risky. It might not work. Right here, when I get KO'd as Wolverine, this dude's camera is all over the place. Holy moly. Okay, we're just gonna not watch this camera because it's really all over the place. That's a lot of movement. So right here, when it doesn't work, right, we should be thinking about swapping. Because the real issue is the Penny nest. That's the only thing that's causing you to have issues. So we need to think about, well, if adjusting my play isn't working, I need to swap to a different hero. Well, if I swap to something like a sniper, right? Then I can come over here, maybe. And then I can drop down, not even a sniper, anything with range, and I just hit the nest from here. Boom, 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 boom. Now my team can play the game. You didn't have to swap to another healer. You didn't have to swap to anything other than just another hero that could remedy the problem. Once the problem then gets remedied, guess what? At this point, you can address the next problem. Honestly, if you would have swapped to something else, I would have, because he would have destroyed my nest, and I'd have been like, okay, well, Penny's not going to work, and I would have swapped. So not only did he eliminate the problem, but he also forced me, playing that character that made the problem, to swap. Now he can swap to whatever he needs to in order to address the next problem. Do you see how just the decision making can impact the match? And you can see this is a celestial game, by the way. You can see even at high ranks, even at one above all, this is something players lack sometimes. It's much less. They have more of it in one above all. I'm not going to lie. If you're Eternity or one above all player, you really do understand strategy. I'm not going to front. But players that are celestial and below, the lower you get, the less decision-making skills you have. And this is what leads players to thinking, oh, the matchmaking's against you and the winning is uncontrollable and you're just destined to lose. And no, you just don't know how to play. You're not adjusting your gameplay with your hero. You're whining and saying your team sucks. You're not swapping to the character in a different role, or you're not swapping characters in the same role. You're basically just whining, saying your team sucks. And then what you're going to do is swap to healer because, I don't know, 3 healers is how we win. It's not. That's not how you win. And then when you do swap 3 to 3 healers or something like that, or maybe you're a healer that swaps to DPS, I'm going DPS because your DPS sucks. Or my DPS sucks, right? Now you just make it so that you have 1 tank or 1 healer because you egoed. The problem is what needs to be solved. Picking a different character does not solve the problem automatically. I'm telling you guys, if you guys can get this decision-making thing down pat, you will skyrocket. You will skyrocket into ranks because this is something a lot of players lack. And until they reset the ladder, you should be able to just coast through a lot of the ranks by knowing this because the people at the top are the only ones who really understand decision-making. Anyone else celestial or below on both PC and console, they don't understand it. They do not extend it to a full extent, which is why they end up saying it's their team's fault a lot of the times. Remember, majority of the player base is Grandmaster and Diamond right now. This means that above average is Celestial. The really good players are Eternity and one above all. So it's perfectly feasible that Celestial players lack decision making because majority of the players kind of coasted to Diamond and Grandmaster. Does that make sense? If you feel like you're struggling with decision making, if you feel like this is something that you really, really want to get down, but it's very hard for you to do, try booking a coaching session down in the description below. If you're like, Poppin, I don't really have the money to get a coaching session, that's perfectly okay. What you can do then is sign up for a free replay review. I give free replay reviews on this channel, and I can help you with your decision making there. Whichever one you want to do is perfectly fine. But I'm telling you, once you guys get this down pat, you're going to be an extremely good player. I promise you. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you guys for doing what? Poppin' often, will often.